Okay, so welcome you to the end of the January 2013 January Wiki Editathon month. I have to say that the Editathon months are really just a ruse that I sort of set up, figuring I know that I don't get anything done without a deadline, and I suspect many other people work that way. AIC has deadlines, AIC News had deadlines, and I sort of figured if I was going to get anyone to pay attention to the wiki, I was going to need to have some deadlines. So the Editathon months that we're going to sort of try and standardize for January and July, with some flexibility as need be, depending on what's going on. It's really an opportunity for our membership to sort of focus for a period of time. We made it a month rather than like one day, just with the hope that each specialty group would be able to sort of, or committee would be able to, focus within that time on, something that they wanted to achieve online. So what I hope to do over the next hour and a half, if you'll all bear with me, is to sort of introduce you to the platform and show you how to do some of the basic editing to create an entry, create a page, do things like adding images, adding links, and things like that. There's a lot more that goes on to creating a really great and dynamic page, and some of that there's just not time to do in one session. So hopefully at the AIC annual meeting we'll have some sort of advanced wiki training, or another time, maybe during the next Wiki Editathon month, I'll be able to do some of that. But what I really want is for the sort of broadest number of people in our membership to understand just sort of what the platform does, what it does well, how to do it, because even if you're not going to be putting stuff up yourself, I feel like it's helpful for people to understand what it is they may be asking other colleagues or members of their committee or specialty group to do. So, so let me give you sort of a brief introduction into the platform and sort of how it's set up before we actually launch into doing anything. The one thing I should say right now is that I know that there's sometimes, depending on your internet connection, a little bit of a lag between what what I am doing on my screen and what you see. So if you feel like it gets out of sync at any point and you're having trouble sort of figuring out what I'm doing because the audio is ahead of the screen share, please let me know so that I can slow down. So the Wiki platform was funded by a grant from the NCPTT, and we have a little bit of a message down here about our funder. And the original content that went up onto the platform with the agreement of the various specialty groups was called the Conservation Catalogs. And not every specialty group within AIC had one, but a number of them did. There was a catalog for both book and for paper. Textiles had one, paintings. I think that's it, actually. So those were these sort of very in-depth printed books about aspects of treatment. And they were put up onto the wiki with the idea that printed pieces are getting more expensive to produce. They weren't really making money for anyone, and it was hard then to update them. And that's what the wiki is so great for, is that it's accessible and everything can be constantly updated. And in fact, what we need to start thinking of is sort of the wiki is sort of a constant work in progress. And that's something I'll come back to a little bit later. So the original content that went up was under this collaborative knowledge base idea is information that's now contained in our materials and treatment section. Since the platform was launched, though, almost all the other specialty groups, with the exception of one, now has a catalog. So the ones that didn't have printed catalogs have jumped in online. And as we go around, go through the training, I'll try and sort of show you some examples that you'll get to see sort of how, if you're jumping in online, the approach sort of changes from something that came from the printed pieces. But since then, other groups have started working. So some of the AIC committees, like the Health and Safety Committee and the Committee for Sustainable Conservation Practices, have started putting material up online so that it can be revised, updated, or expanded from something like that was in an AIC news print piece but didn't have space for everything. We have some sections of the wiki now that sort of deal with us as a group and our history, so things like the Exhibiting Conservation, which is a listing of exhibits around the world going back even to the 50s that mention conservation or have a component on conservation or conservation science, history of conservation and conservators. We have some content that's come to us by people looking for a home to get things out there. So just this month we started a collaboration with the Mount Makers Forum, so now we have a section on mount making that we're hoping is going to continue to grow. The exhibition standards and guidelines is some content written by a museum consultant and a conservator that they sort of wanted to get out there and didn't have a mechanism to do that. The preventive conservation section is going to be sort of stewarded by the Collection Care Network. So, so there's a lot going on here, and I hope that as we continue to work and develop, there will be more linkages between pages. We won't be reinventing the wheel, let's say, with each specialty group sort of developing. Claire is here representing the emergency committee, and so we're hoping soon to have material ready for an emergency response and salvage wiki. So we can, work with, let's say, the different specialty groups to have pages that talk about their materials, but also have it sort of in one place that people could come to and branch out from there. So, you could enter and find content sort of through a discipline or through sort of a broader topic that ties it all together. So that is a little bit about sort of what we have up here, and all of you are sort of representing different groups. So the thing to know about the wiki is that the wiki is a website, so anyone who has access to the World Wide Web can find our wiki pages. This information is completely public. What separates our wiki from other wikis, let's say Wikipedia, which is of course the best known wiki, is that for Wikipedia anyone in the world can sign up for a login and jump in and start working. And so while anyone in the world can see our material and read it, we have restricted access to the editing of our content to either AIC members or other allied professionals that we've given access to for one reason or another. So, so that's important just because I think as a profession, we're a little bit conservative about what we put out there, and it also affects how people feel comfortable working on the wiki. So again, this idea of wikis are sort of seen as a collaborative work in progress, and that's something that conservators sometimes find difficult. We're perfectionists by nature, and people tend to like to put polished content up, and we want to know if we're reading something that it's polished and complete. And as you'll see if you spend any time sort of surfing around the wiki, that's not always the case for every page, and so you have to sort of evaluate things as you go. What I'm hoping to do in a future Wiki Month is to have a better set of maybe headers and disclaimers that we can use across the site that will explain to people where sort of in the editing process, whether it's a draft or it's how it's been reviewed. And so those are some things to think about. But again, just keep in mind the information is public, but it's only being written by our membership. People have to do either one of these trainings or the video training to have access to the site. And so the wiki really is meant to be a professional platform for professional content by conservators, for conservators or, allied professionals. So while we can put some information up that is geared towards the public, that's sort of not, what the focus of this platform really is. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
I'm so computer illiterate, but is the wiki page at all connected to a blog or sort of an online community discussion, or is that something that's not embedded into a wiki, right?
Well, yes and no. So no, it is not linked with any kind of blog or forum, but let me show you. I'm going to now discuss some of these tabs, and there is a component of the discussion that is embedded as part of the wiki. So here, what I'm going to do, without trying to confuse you, is I'm going to jump to a different browser, just so you can see. This is what, if you're not logged in, someone who is just coming to the wiki page would see. So it would say, log in here if you have a login. But people will get these 4 tabs. Okay. And so let me sort of introduce what these are, because this will help you to start to understand how it works. The page in Wikipedia, they'll call this the article. That's sort of the content that people are coming to see. That's that's the product. Every page has a page title, and that's this information here above this bar. This is important because anytime we want to navigate in the wiki or set up links between pages, this is the information that you need to have, and you need to get it exactly right for the link to work. So that means being case sensitive and spacing and all of that. The easiest thing that I'll show you to do will be to cut and paste those into the link. But there are different kinds of pages. So this, what you're seeing here, is a content page. But as we go through the training, I'm going to show you there's a couple other different kinds of pages. So there are file pages, there are user pages, and then there are also discussion pages. So the discussion tab, every page will have a discussion page, which is preceded by this prefix talk. So that distinguishes a discussion page from a content page. And so again, when we talk about the page title, which you would need to know to navigate to, the whole thing, including this prefix, is part of this page title. So talk in this discussion tab is information that's not the content itself, but refers to it. And so let me show you an example, actually, of how that can be used. So for instance, if we go to the objects page, the objects specialty group did not have a printed catalog, and so they started this project fully online. They got a group together who was sort of interested in this, and they all started emailing back and forth. And when I saw all of these emails sort of flying through the ether, I said, guys, let's take this conversation onto the wiki so that as your group develops and new people come to the project, they'll be able to understand, the changes, the decisions that you made early on, and so you won't be sort of constantly trying to update them. Like people will be able to sort of catch them up on the thought process. And so that's what a discussion page is really great for. So here is the content page. It gives an introduction. We have this table of contents, and then sort of this the start of their outline, which over time they're working to fill in. If we go into the discussion, you'll see it looks the same as the content page itself, but we know that we're in the discussion because we have that talk prefix. And what you start to see is they put up headers for different sort of conversations about what they were doing. So how the template would look, how the outline would work. And what you're seeing here with these little sort of digital signatures, which is the username and like a time and date stamp, is a sort of an ongoing conversation between people who were involved in the early stages of setting up this page. And so to answer your question, this is set up specifically to for people to have these sort of discussions. Or let's say you've worked on a page, and you sort of feel like you've gotten it to the point where you're done, but you want somebody else to pick up. And so that would be something that you could put into the discussion page. Say, I've gotten it to this point. I think we still need, sections on documentation, remedial care, and X, Y, or Z. So, so somebody who comes to the page after you can sort of take it and run with it from there. So the ability to put stuff and edit on a discussion page is the same as a content page, and that's what we're going to get to shortly. But does that answer your question about what the sort of capacity is for sort of discussion or collaboration?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next tab we have here is View Source, and this is what we're going to spend, most of our time in, which this is the editing window. Even though we're not logged in here, somebody can see the source code for this. But if I click on it and I'm typing on my keyboard, nothing's happening because we're not logged in. Nobody has the ability to take this or change this. The other thing that is public is the history of a page. So by checking the history, you'll be able to sort of see who worked on a page and who made contributions and what that is. And I'll show you, down the road a little bit. We'll spend a little bit more here. But the thing I want to just bring up at this early point is the thing that's great about the History tab is that some people feel it's a little Big Brother-ish. Every time you hit Save, it's going to log in what you did. It will either log if you're making an edit to a specific section of the page, or there's a little window to put in a summary of what you did so that somebody can easily figure out, what those edits were. But the thing about this really is that ideally it should allow you to evaluate a page. So you could go to, to this page and say, a lot of this was created by Katie Holbrow. She's an excellent conservator. I totally trust her. And later on, Rachel Arenstein started mucking around. She has no idea what she's talking about. So, that section I'm going to take with a grain of salt. Ideally on our platform, everybody is really putting in content that they are, expert or competent in, so that shouldn't be an issue. But if you're ever evaluating another page on a wiki, this is a way to sort of see who's there. But the other thing about it to see is that we can always roll back to a previous version. So I bring this up now just to free you up mentally and to understand that you cannot make an irreversible mistake on the wiki. We can always sort of roll back to a previous version, and you can't make it disappear. You can't ruin anything. So you should feel free to experiment and not think you're going to break it. Okay, does everyone feel comfortable with that? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So after this training, within the next couple of days, everyone will be sent a username, and I think the system randomly now generates a login for you. So when you get that information, I'd encourage you to at least immediately try to log in. It will bring you to a login page that your username, unlike most others, is case sensitive, and So you'll have to get that exactly right, and of course your password is case sensitive too. Once you're logged in, so I think I did change my login. Let's see if I remember my own login. Okay. So now you see I'm logged in. It has my username up here. I'm going to come back a little bit later to what some of these options are. But you'll see also that I have, some more windows up here. There's a couple here that I think I have because I have administrator access that you won't have. But once you have what's called creator access, which is basically the editing capacity on the wiki, you will have several more tabs will pop up. So you'll get your username and login. You'll enter that in, and then the first thing I'd like you to do is go down here in this left-hand navigation menu, something called Special Pages. Special Pages is sort of neat. There's all sorts of reports that are sort of interesting. But the thing that we're going to be looking for right now is under Users and Rights, and you'll click on Reset Password. So can everyone, hopefully everyone can still hear me. So this will email you a new password that you can put in yourself. So hopefully it'll be something that you can remember. And then the other thing you should do is I'll use the email address that I've been using for you up till now. But at any point, if you want to change that, you would do that under Preferences for your login. And you have the ability to change the email address that's associated with your account. So that's just one little administrative thing for you to know how to do. Okay, so I'm going to jump back to my other window now, and so again, we have this navigation, sort of quick navigation over here on the left. You'll see this section looks a little funky. We have to clean that up. These are actually little image files. So that will look different shortly, but there's a few things that I just want you to be familiar with. The main page is sort of, the main page, the sort of entry to all of this. But just to keep in mind that at the bottom of the main page, we have this Getting Started section, where we have some sort of fast links to some of the things that people want to do most frequently, adding images or tables or citations. The thing to know about this is by the time we're done with this training, if this goes like the other groups, your brain will be full. And unless you really jump in and start, going gangbusters with the wiki, it's sort of just like a lot of other things we do, pigment analysis, fiber analysis. Like if you don't do it for a while, you sort of have to refamiliarize yourself with it. So what I want to encourage you to remember is that between the Getting Started, the new, better editing window that we now have with our software upgrade, and some other tips, you don't have to remember everything I'm telling you now. There's ways that you can sort of use these sort of cheat sheets to help you. Okay, so we have again a bunch of different people. Everybody here is going to be working sort of on a different section of the wiki. So one last sort of thing is that once you have creator access, you have the ability to access any page on the wiki. I can't assign JR and Kathy just to edit on the health and safety pages and Claire to edit just in the emergency pages. You have access to any page. But for the most part, we're asking people, if you're there to work on specific content, You can make other changes to pages. If you notice a typo, go for it. If you want to insert a new category or a link or update, you're welcome to do that. But we're asking people, like, if you're not a textile conservator, the textile conservation group has a specific way that they're working. So we're asking people to sort of respect the mental boundaries of of the wiki. Okay, so for some of you, you're going to mostly be working on pages that are already established. So let's just take a quick look at the health and safety. We have these guides that were transferred also over from the printed matter. And so if you have a guide, that the material's already up there, and all you're going to do is sort of be tweaking it, updating web links, or typing in some new text, that's really easy. You'll just go in. Let's say we want to do, one of the things that I never finished was my assignment to update the technical resources on pesticides. So I would just have to click into this, hit my edit tab up here, and start, typing and doing some of the things I'm going to show you presently. But I do want you to understand how we create an entirely new page. And so what I think we'll do is go into a relatively new section of the wiki that I can play with and just sort of to show you as an example. So here we're going to go, I'm going to jump into, under additional topics, we have the lexicon. The lexicon is sort of a new project where we're trying to develop what ultimately would be a little illustrated booklet that people could give to clients or other allied professionals so that they can understand our lingo a little bit better. And we've been working with representatives from every specialty group to hopefully make sure that we're really focused on conservation terms and not sort of manufacturing terms or sort of materials which are listed in another resource in Cameo. So the lexicon term list has now the start of terms for all sorts of things that that are condition issues for us across our various specialties. And I want to see if I believe I think there is something for.
And where did this come from? Was this something you all put together, or is this a standard lexicon in the conservation business?
No, this is something we started putting together.
Okay. Okay. So it's like a key item thing from a literature site, right? So we'd have to do it for our own. For instance, under respirators, under ours, there's no respirator. So if we wanted to do that with our own health and safety things, right, we would add it into this.
So in this case, again, the lexicon here, I think is focusing on sort of condition terms, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't set up, another page for other issues, that would be health and safety terms. And in fact, here, let me sort of show you what one entry looks like. Let's find a good one.
Oh yeah, like if you went to Red Rod or something like that. Yeah, it would describe the.
Right.
It would. Okay.
So here, this is sort of giving you the main definition, but crackle, is defined somewhat differently if you're talking about it in a ceramic versus on wood versus, a painting. We're also having requests from colleagues in other countries. We've set up this space now for some translations. This is discussion here. We are, this is, we're not just making these up. We do have, references.
Oh, yeah.
So at that point, I might do that whole routine.
So let me,
No, it's for the show.
wanted to see if we have one for
Like Tom Selleck is in it.
training purposes for
Yeah, I looked at Tom Selleck and she's really
think there was something having to do with pest damage.
She on Friends.
Oh, there was mold, but I see the I see the use of the usefulness of for us. Mm-hmm.
What's
Oh,
the
here, wait.
between the blue and the red?
Okay, here we have frass. Okay, so this is an important question, and something that comes at the perfect time. So the difference between blue and red is blue links have content in them, and red, the link has been set up, but the page does not actually exist. And this is a little funky, but the page doesn't exist, and you've created a link, but it sort of goes to nowhere out in the ether until you follow the link to this non-existent place and put content there. And once you hit save, you have now created that space. Again, it's a little funky. You're creating a link, and then once you actually put something there, it actually becomes a place. So let's the entry for frass has been set up, but as you see, as I hover over it, it says page does not exist. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it here, and it takes me, again, to this creating frass. So up in my my links here, you'll say, this is my page. I have my discussion tab, and here it says create, because there is nothing there yet. If I were to click on a blue link to humidification, where there really is, there's the picture here that I added in an earlier training session, you'll see that tab rather than create is edit, because now we're editing something that's already been started. So, there are clues here to sort of help you figure out, sort of navigate your way. Okay, so we are now in the creating frass page. We're in our editing window. And let me just give you a little introduction to what you're seeing here. The first tab says Wiki Text, and this is sort of the main show. This is where we're going to be working. We have this preview tab. I tend to like the preview button down here, and I'll show you why in a few minutes. And I'm not going to discuss the changes right now, but then we have down here what's called the WYSIWYG buttons. So WYSIWYG is an acronym that stands for what you see is what you get. And anyone who's been on a computer in the last decade is familiar with these. Most of these buttons, we recognize already. And if I hover my mouse over them, you'll see it pops up and gives you a little bit more information. And I'm going to jump in and start using a few of these. These are under this little advanced window. So if I minimize this, you'll see it disappears, just leaving me with these few buttons up here. But we also have this special characters window. So if you need, accents, marks, or other extended characters, just like in a word processing program, you can click on those and use this to input those. But aside from the advanced, the one that I want you to really remember, because this is going to be the most useful, is this help menu. So it's broken up into sections here. But in the past, people sort of needed to remember how to format a page. And now between formatting or heading, all this information is sort of right here in the editing window at your fingertips. So this has made the whole editing process a lot easier for people, especially if you're not doing this regularly and you sort of need that reminder. So what you see here is, in order to get a second level heading, this is the code that you'll need, and that's what it's going to look like. For formatting, same thing. If you want italics, it's the 2 apostrophes, bold is 3. What you'll start to see also, if you look through the various categories of the formatting codes here, is that this isn't as complicated as HTML or other programs. It is coding though, and so if when you hit Save Page it doesn't look right, you have to just go back and sort of figure out where did your code go wrong. And one of the most common mistakes that that happens is that that code has a beginning and it has an end, and then it affects anything that's in between. So if you forget to sort of close off your code, like by ending it, it's just going to continue until it hits another bit of code. So, so if I say, now you're going to start to see, I can't actually put in really useful content and navigate and speak at the same time, so this is where the whole process gets a little bit silly. But okay, so I want a bold phrase, and I want to, let's say, italicize scientific. Now I'm going to go down and show you by hitting Show Preview what that's going to look like. Okay, we've just started putting content on our page. Doesn't look like much, but we've successfully added some bolding and some italics to my brilliant first sentence in the phrase entry. So the thing I like about this Show Preview mode is that you can sort of see the page and what you've done so far while your editing window stays open. The thing to remember about this is that it's only a preview. Your changes have not been saved. So you don't want to navigate away from this page to do something else or check a link or something like that before you hit Save Page, because it's a real bummer to have spent like a half an hour getting the page and putting it all in and doing your code and then making that mistake and then losing all your work. I have done it numerous times. I don't recommend it. After you do it 1 or 2 times, then you start to get smarter. But it is something to remember that you haven't, until you hit Save Page, your content isn't really in there. So let me just quickly show you, if I forget to close off my code there, and I hit Show Preview again, I had only wanted to italicize scientific, but instead everything after that is italicized because I forgot to close off my code. Okay, so okay, so I just jumped in and entered this sentence. So you can get into your editing window and just start typing. But you probably want to set up some headers and have some sort of structure or outline to your page. So I'm going to say, why don't I put those in? I'm going to say definition. Okay. I'm going to move this up as my definition. So characteristics. So we can have for okay, this is going to be the start of my outline. So let's say I'm going to make this. I'm going to click here in my help window on headings. And it shows me my what my different options are. But also under Advanced, I have the headings set up here. So here I'm going to make this one a level 2 heading. I'm going to make this one also these level 2s, and then I'm going to make these a level 3 headers. So I'm just highlighting my text and clicking on that, and as you'll see, level 2 headers have 2 equal marks before and after. Level 3 headers have 3 before and after, and you can just keep going. The thing that's nice about using the headers is when I hit Show Preview, you'll see it starts to set up this automatic table of contents and an organizational structure, which is useful. So that's great. We've got a good start there. Now, let's see, what else do we want to do here? Let's say I want to do quickly a bulleted list because there's lots of different kinds of cockroaches. There's German cockroaches, brown banded cockroaches, and so here I'm going to make this a bulleted list. Click here. Oh, didn't want those spaces. So, okay, I'm going to hit show preview again, and seems to want to put those back in. Oh, I see what happened. There's something with our upgrade that we still have to tweak. So as you can see here, my bullet got separated from my text, so I need to pull that back together. Let's hit show preview again, figure out if we solved it. Okay, so that looks right now. So again, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, going through every button here, but most of the kinds of things that you would want to do for basic formatting of a page will be listed here. And if they're not in one of these WYSIWYG buttons, check out your little help menu. Once you get good, like if you've been working on the wiki a while, you don't need to use these buttons. So I know that that the asterisk is going to give me a bullet. I don't need to use the button. I can just type that in. So if I want to say for the dermestids, I want to say carpet beetle, and then I want to make this a numbered list. I don't, have to use my button. I can, if I remember the code, I can just do that. Okay, so now we have a bulleted list and a numbered list. Some of these are, making the size of your font, superscript, subscript, things that that you want to do. Actually, let me just do one important that I normally do when I start a page. When you start a page, you want to give people the ability maybe to navigate back to where, how they entered this page without having to go all the way back to the main page or the main navigation menu. So in this case, I want to add a link back to that lexicon term list. So, because otherwise people will navigate here, and then they'll just be stuck here, and the only way they could navigate was either to use their back button or to jump using the navigation menu. So this is going to be our first attempt at putting in a link. So remember what I said. We have our page name, and that's the most important piece we need. But before we do this, because it's eventually going to involve navigating, I'm going to hit Save Page. Up till now, I was just sort of working in the show preview, so I could sort of see what I was doing and then tweak it as I edit it. Before you hit Save Page, anytime you do something substantive, it would be great if you can put information in this summary field. And I'll show you when we go back to discuss the history why that's useful. In this case, I'm just going to say, it doesn't need to be, anything fancy. Just, sort of give a brief summary of what it was you did. If you just went into, correct a typo or fix some formatting, then you don't need to bother. But a substantive change should have something in the summary. And I'm going to hit Save Page. Okay. So, so again, now we're out of our editing window, and now we're back in our main content page. So this is, if somebody navigates here, this is what they're going to see under FRAP. But again, there's no way for them to, unless they go use this, to get back to that list. They'd have to go all the way back to additional topics, click on the lexicon, click back to the lexicon term list. So I want them to be able to quickly get from my entry on FRAST back to this term list so that they can search for other terms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this page name, and I'm doing Control-C in my case, but you could also just go up and do your copy. And now I have to get all the way back down to my FRAST. So I don't know if you remember, but when we first started, our FRAST link was red, but now since we've saved content on that page, it's now blue. And I'm going to click back on there. I'm now back on my FRAST page, and I'm going to click back into my edit mode. So what I want is for people to be able to navigate back. So I'm going to set up a link to my lexicon term list. And the easiest way to do this now is to click on our link button. And this makes it very easy. What is the target? Either the target page which is within the wiki, an internal link, or the URL to something out on the World Wide Web, which is an external link. So where do I want it to go to? I want it to go to the lexicon terms. Now, if you can see here, this pops up. This is a really useful thing. It says, that page exists. Let's say I had a typo. This is one quick way, to know that something's gone a little wrong, because it's telling me I know that there's a lexicon terms page, but if it tells me this page doesn't exist, it means, somehow I've gotten that page title wrong. Again, page titles are case sensitive, so in this case I have a lowercase t, and it still doesn't recognize it. So we got to get that exactly right. So this little pop-up window is a really good way of keeping us honest when we set up links and making sure it works correctly. So sometimes, though, a page on our wiki might have a really complicated page name, and that's not what we want to appear. So bear with me while I jump over again to my other browser, and I'll show you, let's say, in textiles, they're handling their page titles, since they brought this over from their printed catalog, include like Chapter 2, Handling and Moving, Section A. So this is a really long title. I may just want to say, navigate to the section on handling. And so what we want to do is, have the ability to put in an alias. And that's what, as we go back to our FRAST page, that's what this text-to-display is. So in this case, but why don't I just make it just a little bit different so that you can see how that works. Of lexicon terms. Okay, that's not what we'd actually really want to call it, but this way you'll see it's different from the page name from this. And I'm going to click here to insert link. So what you see here is just like in our links, the double brackets before and after mean that we've just set up an internal link to a page on the wiki. This first part is the actual name of that page, which we get from up at the top of the window. And then we have this upright bar, which on my keyboard is above the backslash, but on Macs or PC, laptops, it's sometimes in a different place. And then after that, before we close off with the brackets, the end of our link, we can put an alias for how we want it to see. Let's say I also want to get fancy, and I want this to be small. So you'll see it's now, I highlighted it, and I clicked on my small WYSIWYG button, and it put in that bit of code here before and after. Okay, so let's do show preview, see if I got it right. Okay, so that's our navigation help up here. Maybe what I'll say here is I'm going to hit show preview again, see if that looks right. I forgot my space. So my window is still open. I can do this. And now I'm just going to say added navigation link, and I'm going to hit Save Page. Okay, so now we've, for a new page, we've given people a way to sort of get back so that they haven't reached a wiki dead end, and we have the start of our outline with all sorts of fascinating content. Well, the one thing that I know will totally make this better is a picture. So let's talk about how to add a file. So the process for adding a file, in this case an image, is a two-step process. For something to appear on the wiki, we first need to load it into like a central document library. And that's going to set up, in a sense, a page for that bit of content, whether it's a PDF, an Excel spreadsheet, a Word document, or an image file like a JPEG. And then it's going to create a file page for that, and we're going to use that file page just like we have the title here, and we had discussion prefixes. There's a file prefix for that kind of page, and we're going to use the link to that, which will allow us to put the image on our page. So it will start to make more sense when I show it to you in action. So here under Tools on our left-hand navigation menu, we have this link to Upload File. And here we have a little bit of this sort of a cheat sheet help text here. When I'm actually working and doing stuff on the wiki, sometimes what I actually like to do is I'll have, whether it's a Word document, or in this case a little notepad, where I save some of my favorite little cheat sheet bits of code. We can figure out where that's coming.
You're listening to music from Smithsonian Folkways.
Oh dear. I think Kathy must have put us on hold, and we're getting her background music. Can everyone still hear me?
I can. You're listening to music from Smithsonian Folkways.
Good point. Various ways I can okay. Now I have muted everyone, so that means that we're not getting the background music that seems to be coming from Kathy, but it also means that that you will have to use the chat if you have something to say. So I'll try and keep this window open so I can monitor if you have a question, or I'll try and remember to stop for questions. But at this point, I'm going to assume that everybody can still hear me, and we're going to carry on. So, okay, so here we are in our upload file window that we accessed through the tool on our left. This is going to be pretty much familiar to anyone who's worked, sent an email with an attachment, worked in a word processing program over the last decade. We're going to browse. In this case, I think I have something on my desktop that we can use. So here, we have insect infestation. So I haven't given it a really elegant title, but sometimes it's nice if the file name isn't, just what came out of your camera, DSCN, 21553. Give it a file name if you have the energy. But what really is important is to put something into the summary field. This is searchable across the wiki, and so it will allow people to find stuff. So if you want to acknowledge where the image came from, who took it, explain a little bit more about what's in the image. So, I'm going to say, okay, so that should be enough for somebody coming to this file to sort of understand what's going on. And I took it, and in this case, the owner of the piece does not want to be identified. I'm going to click Upload File. And in a second, we now have created a file page for my terrific image of this disgusting bit of insect infestation. So just again, we're now in our content page, but you'll see that's been replaced by file, and we now have this file prefix. So when we want to navigate and insert this image into our page, this is the page name that we need. But so I'm just going to press Control and copy to copy that. But you'll see this is the full-size resolution. We have a little bit about the file history. Eventually, as this image gets used over our wiki, you'll be able to see what pages link to it. It also automatically imports any metadata from the camera. And here, the information that I put into the summary is here in this comments tab. So, okay, now I need to navigate back to my FRAS page, which is going to take us a few clicks. And all the way down, sorry, as I move my window around, go all the way down, click on FRAS. Here's my page, and I'm going to click back into my edit mode. Okay, so again, we've set up now this file page for that image, and in order to make it appear on our page, we're going to link to it. So it's really the same as setting up this internal link to another page on the wiki. So in this case, I'm going to put this image here maybe. Now, again, sorry, as I jump back, I'm just going to show you again. In the upload, we have this cheat sheet sort of information here. Now we can also find it under Help and under Files. So there's a few different ways to format the file, but this is sort of a good one. I'm going to modify it a little bit. I pasted that in. You see the format is a little funky, but that's going to disappear when I hit Save Page. So, okay, my internal link code is the two brackets, so I'm going to set those up. In this case, I'm going to put in sum, which gives me this window around it and allows me to put in the caption. So I'm going to do that upright bar. The other thing I know is that image was really large. I don't really want it that big. So I'm going to reduce the pixel size, and then I'm going to put in okay. And for kicks, I'm just going to hit show preview, which is going to make our sort of funky formatting go away. Okay, so this is the way it should look. I'm going to just show you what happens if I take out this, the thumb, and let me also just show you what happens if we just put in the file. So this will make it clear sort of what the different options are. And I'm going to hit show preview. Okay. So this was, sorry, let's move the GoToMeetings window out of the way. This was our first bit of code. So this is sort of how I want it to appear. I have that box around it. My caption is visible. My image is here. If I actually click on this, it will take me back to that file with the full enlarged image. When I just put in the image, it's given me the full thing here, which isn't really what I want, although by seeing it blown up, you can actually see the frass. Ew. Although, that should have been the second one. Let's figure out what happened with my code there. Let's go down. It should have put it in as a thumb. This is, I meant to take out the pixels and leave that. Let's see if that works. That gave me the same. Okay, well that's making a liar out of me. So that one isn't showing up as different. But this is the full-size image that you'll see we got at the code if I just put this in. So I'm going to delete these two. I'm going to put something in my summary. And hit Save Page. Okay, so we've started. Now that's looking a little bit small. Let me just jump back into the editing mode, tweak that. Maybe I'll make that 400 pixels. Let's see how that looks. That wasn't a substantive change. Did not seem to enlarge it like I would have hoped. Let's see if something isn't going right. It may be because we got the code a little bit tweaked. Let's just try this. So here you're just getting a sense of like, it's not working exactly like I wanted to. Let's figure out why. Nope, that didn't do it either. Okay. I'm going to give it one more try. I'm pretty sure the pixels, I know. I missed my pixel. I didn't have the PX. Now let's try it. I'm just going to hit show preview this time. Aha, okay, now we got it. So I've forgotten an important piece of the code that designated that I wanted it to be the pixel. And this, the other thing that you can add in is that here it's on the right, but I could also change it if I wanted to make it on the left. I'm going to hit show preview one more time. Now I've moved my image around. So, so this gives you sort of the basic text, but again, if we go back to that upload file, and sometimes if you keep it sort of on a supplementary cheat sheet, this gives you the full code for the pixel size, giving you that caption window, how to align it, and then to put in your caption text. Okay, I haven't saved my page yet, so I'm going to do that, but I'm going to change that back to right where I'd like to see my image. Okay, so I have that there. Now, as I put in other text, we can tweak the sort of, where that image appears. So does everyone, has everyone followed me that the whole process of putting in an image or a PDF or anything that you want people to download is a two-step process. You start by uploading it to the document library. The important thing you need to remember is the file name, which will be up at top with all of our page names. It'll be preceded by file : as a prefix. And that ultimately you're going to be inserting an internal link to that file page, which will allow you to put the image in your new content page. Everyone with me so far? Someone want to pipe up on the chat? Okay. I'm gonna take that as permission to proceed. So one other thing that I know everyone's certainly going to want to do is they're going to want to have some external links. So let's put in a link to the website I've worked on, which is Museum Pass. So again, let's go back to our links help menu. So you'll see an external link is a single bracket, and there's a few different ways of putting in an external link. And here again, it shows you, if you type in, this is what you're going to get. The most common one, sometimes you want people to see the full URL, so there you actually don't use the brackets, you just put that URL in. But what we mostly want to do is hide that URL and also have some sort of alias. So in this case, we'll say well, in this case, why don't I just click link again? So here I'm going to say I wanted to go to the museumpest.net website, but what I wanted to say is the integrated management. Okay. So here it shows me, it recognizes that we're going somewhere else on the web. This is the text that I want people to actually see on the page, and we're linking to an external page, and we're going to do that. And so it pops it in for me. Let's see, we might also want to include a link to, I forgot, let's get another link. Let's do the Pest Odyssey 2012 website. So that's, I'm going to copy, sorry. Oh, let's just do this. I'm going to copy that information, and we're going to go, in this case, I'm not going to use the button because I already remember that it's a simple bit of code. So unlike for an internal link where you separate the navigation from the alias with this upright bar, for an external link you separate it with a single space. I don't know why that's different. It just, that's the way it is. In this case, I'm going to say added web links, and I'm going to hit save page. Okay, so we have, so if it's an external link, you'll see we get this little symbol which tells you it's taking you, outside the wiki to somewhere else. One other thing that we start to realize is that, the wiki doesn't really recognize formatting that's not part of its own code. So I actually wanted these to be two separate lines. If you use something like the numbering or the bulleting, that does it automatically. In this case, I'm going to have to put in a line break. So I'll just jump back into my editing window, and the code for a line break is easy to remember, it will also be up here in your help menu, and I'll hit save page. Okay, so now my links are showing up as sort of two separate lines, which is what I wanted. Okay, so we've covered, basic sort of formatting is sort of similar to just doing any word processing. As I jump back into our editing mode, that you have either the WYSIWYG buttons or the help menu here to help you. We've covered internal links, which are navigating within the wiki. We've looked at how you can set up, add an image or a different kind of file, and we've covered external links. So, okay, that's all I'm really going to have time to do today, but I'm hoping that somebody else will come, tomorrow and start to add a little bit more. So what I want to do is I'm going to jump into my discussion page here. Again, same exact window, all the processes, whether you're working in a discussion page or a content page, are the same. In this case, I'm going to say, Kathy, hi, I can see that you're back on. Don't worry about it. I've muted everyone for now, but in a second maybe I'll unmute so that people can jump in with some questions. It was actually nice music, at least. Wasn't terrible elevator music. Okay, so I've put in this sentence for discussion, but and since I'm the only person who's worked on this page, if you check in the history, somebody would be able to probably figure out this comment was from me. But as multiple people work on a page, the way you keep track of your discussion is by using this button here, the signature and timestamp. So we don't use this on a content page because there we're sort of crafting that all together, and that's so this though is used more in the discussion pages. So I'm going to click on this, and you'll see it just puts in this little bit of code, but when I hit save page, that will automatically save it with my username and the time and date stamp. So somebody else can come and see what's going on. So let me just now quickly show you, if we go to the history, well, that's not very interesting for our discussion page. We want to go to the history for our content page. So you'll see every time I hit save, it created an entry here. And every time I put information into that summary field, it added that here. So somebody can, these are probably just times when I've hit save just to, so I didn't lose my work, so they aren't really substantive big changes. But here somebody can get a sense of how I changed a page. So for something that's like a more complicated page, let's see if we can find, I'm navigating now to the glass entry in the Objects Wiki. Okay, so let's take a look at the history here. We can see that we had like 3 different people who were working on this page. And so we can sort of get a sense of what they were doing. Here Vanessa added something, an image of the faience bead. This is a section on deterioration and references. And so now let's take a look. This is sort of gets fun, where you can compare a couple of revisions. So let's say Leanne here did not really put in a summary of some of the stuff she was doing. So if I was Vanessa, I might want to go and figure out what did Leanne do to change the page since I was last working. So I'm going to click on the current version and on Vanessa's last version, and I'm going to click Compare Selected Revisions. So this is a bit funky until you sort of get the hang of what you're looking at. But this is our older edit, and this is our current page. It also tells us that there were 3 intermediate revisions that we're not taking a look at. But here you can start to see this is the content that was added in the plus. So these were things that were changed. She changed from the header here just to, so now the format, so stabilization was a level 3 header in the earlier version, and now it's a level 4 header, and these are no longer headers. They're just sort of a section. And she didn't delete any text. That would show up as red with a minus. So, so you can start to see, how did someone, especially when you're working on a page together with other collaborators, you can start to see what it was they tweaked from your latest version. Again, if you don't like it, you could just go back in and edit it back, or we could roll it back to one of these previous versions by hitting the the undo back to where we wanted to get to. So again, that should make you recognize that you can't, even if you went in and somebody went in and just deleted all the content of this page and hit save, we still have all of our history. So you can't ever make it disappear. I, as the administrator of the wiki, I can make it disappear, but you can't. And so that should be a good thing. If you undo an edit, can you redo it later? That is a good question. I don't know that anyone's ever tried that. We could definitely look that up in the Media Wiki help feature, but I'd say, if it's just a minor tweak, you'd probably just want to go back in and re-edit it. Undo is really if you have to really undo a lot of work, and it would be difficult to to figure out, like let's say Leanne was a little bit off her rocker that day and everything needed to be undone. So that's when we might hit the undo. Okay. So Kathy has asked if you wanted to reference a non-AIC publication, is it better to upload the article as a PDF or post a web link? So that's a good question. I think something like that really depends on the permissions. Our copyright policy on the wiki is in this totally illegible blue link down here where it says About the Wiki, and you can link to our user guidelines. So I do actually recommend, even though this is a little boring, and I probably need to update it a little bit, but this has a lot of good information about disclaimers. It has our copyright and licensing. Basically, the thing to know about our copyright is that if you put your intellectual content on the wiki, you're giving us permission to use it as AIC sees fit. And let's say the next great technology isn't a wiki, it's like a forum. We would be able to repackage our wiki content into the next kind of platform without having to ask for permission. That would be akin to the AIC copyright that allows us to take a JIC article and put it up online without having to go back and ask for all of those permissions over again for this new format. But the copyright does not prevent you from doing anything with your own intellectual property. So if you create an article here, you are welcome to take it and publish it, elsewhere, and do whatever you want. So in reverse, what that sort of effectively means is that if you have permission from someone who has created an article as a PDF, then I love having them linked, within our document library, because what happens on a page where you have lots of external links is, and this happens, let's say, Kathy, on the Smithsonian website, the Smithsonian will change its URL or move things around, and then all of those web links are broken on our site. It, takes you off, to a page not found. So if somebody has like a PDF and they say, oh, well, that's linked on my company website, or here's the PDF, I'd say go through the extra step of, uploading the file and putting it in so that we know it's there and we're not going to lose the link. If we don't have that permission or contact with the author and it's something that's just out there on the World Wide Web, you can link to it without permission, but then we're not, in a sense, grabbing that content and putting it in our place. Does that make sense? Okay, great. Let me see, was there, okay, let's see if I can unmute you guys so that people have the ability to ask questions with our last few minutes. So one thing I'd like to show you, let's say I am taking sort of ownership of a specific page. So let's go back into our work practices, our health and safety. So when I was on the committee, this was supposed to be, this pesticides technical resources was supposed to be one that I was supposed to be keeping an eye on. So let's say there's other people, the FRAS entry might be one. Again, with the lexicon, we have lots of different people working on the lexicon. We want collaboration from the different specialty groups. If I want to know if anybody else has gone in and made an update, I can check back, every day, once a week, once a month, or I can set up my watch list. So if I'm logged in, I want to check in my preferences where it says, email me when a page or file on my watch list is changed. If that is checked, and I have a valid email address in here, which I do, I can go back to the page that I'm interested in and click Watch. And so that will add it to what's up here on the top right is my watch list. So anytime somebody comes in and makes an edit to that page, I will actually get an email saying, so-and-so username has made a page change to the pesticides for the conservator page. And I can go in and check that. Alternatively, I can go in and check my watch list and just sort of see, okay, in the last, I have 11 pages on my list. In the last 72 hours, somebody has made a change to the pile reversal page. But you can see, let's see, I can check and see what's been going on in the last, 7 days, stuff like that. So you can have that information pushed out to you, and that's really useful if you're working on a page with some other, people in the committee. So for instance, Claire, you and Beth can use it to keep each other honest on like the emergency pages that you're setting up. Okay, so that's my watch list. So one other thing that I'd like to encourage you to do, just because even though hopefully you've gotten the sense that you can't screw anything up here, and that if you're in a page you're editing window, that wasn't a very interesting page, so let's go to work practices. If you're in your editing window, you have all of this stuff to sort of help you remember how to do it. One other thing to remember is if you see content or formatting on another page that sort of looks like that's the way you want to do it, it's totally valid to go into that page. Let's say in the mount making page, I'm sort of surfing around. I say, oh, look, they have that little PDF logo, and that's sort of nifty. I want to put that on my page. Well, so presumably that's already loaded into the document library. How do I find that? The easiest thing is to jump into the edit mode and sort of search through the code and say, okay, all I need to do is copy and paste that into my page, and then I can get that little logo too. So again, there's all these in the Getting Started section, your help window, and the ability to just sort of see what other pages have done and sort of copy and paste based on that. But still, it's a little daunting the first time you go in. And so what I'd encourage you to do is that when you get your username and login and you've updated your password, click on your username. It's going to take you to, we had file pages, and we have content pages. We also have user pages with this user prefix. So your user page is linked with your user name, and it's a way for you to sort of experiment. Go in, try adding a picture, link your, maybe link your CV, put in a link to your, website, or lab or something like that, try playing around here. It's not private because it's on the wiki. Somebody could find it, but it's a place for you to sort of, play and give it a first go before you're working on something in prime time, on the main content pages. One last thing before I sort of stop talking and let you ask some questions is I want to just show you in the search. The search is really powerful. When we go to Wikipedia, we go to Wikipedia and you type in, let's say, FRAS, and it will take you to that FRAS page. A lot of our membership is still sort of trained, like they're navigating through the, the menus because they're sort of still thinking of these as like the print, catalogs. They're using like the table of contents. But the search function here is really powerful. If I just type here, I get search, and so this is the only page. But let's say I type on something like mount. Okay, so there's lots of pages that either have mount or mount making. So in this case, it comes up with page title matches and also every place where that matches text within the page. So it's capturing, it's capturing everything. What you also see if you hit the advanced button up here is that these are all the different kinds of different kinds of pages that you can search in. A general search just searches in that main content page. But we could also search in user or file. And so let's say if I wanted to find like all the images that I put in, we could see, so these are all, it's finding all these images that, I've uploaded here because I put that in probably to the summary somewhere on that file page. So if I click on this, main and user and file, it's going to, find even more. So I just wanted you to be aware of, how you can use that advanced search function. Okay, well, you guys have been extraordinarily patient and sticking with me. If anybody needs to jump off, of course, I think I've covered most of the real basics. There's some other things in terms of, categories, other kinds of links and formatting, but I'm going to stop here as, sort of the introduction. But I'm happy to stay on as long as anybody has any questions that they want to ask. Again, I will say that, we have lots of sort of willing foot soldiers in some of our younger members. We're willing to help put content up for more established members. And we sort of see that as a mini mentoring opportunity. So hopefully this has demystified the process for you, but if you say, oh, this is really not my thing, let me know because there's other ways that we can get content up online. But for those of you who are overseeing pages now, like Claire, Emily, hopefully that will be this should seem manageable to you, and for people like JR and Kathy, if you're primarily doing editing, it's really just a question of sort of understanding how the formatting works and just going in and making those changes. I've unmuted you all. Anyone have any questions? I may have unmuted you technically, but
I really
I've blown your mind.
Very helpful.
Okay, take another second. Think about if there's something you want to ask. Again, each of you have sections that you're primarily interested in, but there are these other sections, especially these additional topics like history of conservation and conservators, the lexicon. Each of these pages have like a little bit about telling you what the point of them is, and these certainly are sections where you should feel free to just jump in, create an entry, and add something. For some of them which have adding, like the lexicon, you'll see, in fact, there are some cheat sheets like right there. So how to do citation, how to use a template that's been set up for that particular kind of entry. So, take a look when you're on different pages. Sometimes that information has been set up already to help you.
Rachel, I think Claire wrote a question.
Okay. Oh, I've stopped. Sorry. I realized I let the chat lag behind. Okay. Do user pages have public access? That is a good question. Yes, technically user pages have public access. So you do not need to see to be logged in. I'll show you an example. So for instance, let me, oh, sorry, that was the wrong section. Let me go back to preventive care. In the new mount making section, we said, anybody who has a question about this should contact Shelley Euler. And we've put her in. If we hover over this, you'll see the link is going to actually take us to her user page. And rather than put her email sort of in that main content page, she's put it here in her user page so people can figure out how to contact her. So in fact, the user pages are meant to be public because it's a way of sort of figuring out who that author is. Okay, any other questions? If not, I'm going to release you all back to your real work. And if by Monday you haven't received your username and login, check your spam filters because sometimes it winds up there. I'll also be adding you to the AIC Wiki listserv. And that's a place where anyone can sort of feel free to ask questions of all the sort of wiki creators. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys get up to online. Feel free to contact me if you run into any trouble. But go ahead and create.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.